So Carmen is a counter-espionage. She is a high-ranking officer. She's a former athlete that was recruited during her athlete years, and I always imagined her to have been schooled in the USSR, to be a firm and staunch believer in the ideology, and someone that is very well placed and very happy to exist in this system, because she's also one of the privileged ones of the system. Her job comes with a lot of danger, and it comes with a lot of excitement, and I think this is probably the biggest op that she's had to pull, and also the one that she's most interested in a way. So it's also a way for her to prove herself in front of her superiors. There's a lot of ego there as well. She has become a very high-ranking officer at a very young age, so that must say a lot about her determination and the way that she conducts herself in a male-driven world. She is probably someone that has not cut any corners, and I think she believes in meritocracy. I think she has won every step of the way, just like she used to win medals as an athlete. She is someone that believes in hard work. She is someone that is compassionate. And she is also someone that is, deadly, should the opportunity arise. Exactly. She can make her way around the battle, is all I'm saying. And I think one of Carmen's virtues is that she's an observant. She's an observer. Whenever walking into a room, she takes everything into account. She has a bit predator thing of like, there's an escape route, there's a potential danger, there is someone that I need to seduce, there is someone that I need to undermine, and so on and so forth. So it kind of is nice. I kind of thought about this, to always start her off with a silence. She never just blurts in a scene. There's always there's a moment that she takes to quantify and to check things and to assess. I was given a choice of 3 weapons to choose from. And there's, of course, the technical requirements of, does it fit in a purse, kind of a thing. But besides that, there's also, the personality of each weapon. Did you ever see a movie called Dear Wendy?
I haven't.
It's a Winterberg movie with Jamie Bell. Watch it. It's spectacular, speaking about the personalities of weapons. And, like out of these 3 little revolvers, it was clear that the one that I chose, that was Carmen's. It was this little Czech weapon. And I thought, I made this backstory that this weapon was given to her by her instructor in the USSR. But it's just a fun thing to imagine, because at the end of the day, my job runs on imagination. This is my fuel. This is my gasoline. I just, you pump in a bit of like, what would happen if blah? So it's fun.
Even though it takes place during the Cold War, I think it's a show that still highlights the problems we still face today in the world. It very much asks the question of how much power we allow people who will end up leading the world, how much power we give them. Is that also what drawn you to that story? Because this story, yes, it's the 70s, but it still resonates today.
Yes, absolutely. It is something that draws me a lot, because I'm a firm believer in the power of the people, in that sense, to decide their history and to take matters into their own hands and to start revolutions where revolutions are needed, and so on and so forth. Because as powerful and seemingly untouchable the powers that be are, regimes change, dictatorships are toppled, and all it takes is courage and the right geopolitical setting, but courage. And I think it was great to be part of this, because I think if a younger audience gets to this, and if they get at all interested in history, there is a chance that history won't be repeated. If it serves as a warning sign, that famous joke with like George Orwell saying that he's written 1984 as a warning, not as a manual. I'm hoping this will bring some closure to people who still had and probably will forever have questions about what stole 40 years of their lives. And I hope it brings interest to a younger generation to see, you know, like, what are the shoulders they're climbing upon.
And when I first read the script before I auditioned, I was familiar with the story because it's based on some real facts that happened in Romania back in the 70s. And of course, I was very excited to finally see a script written based on that story and to be able to audition for the male lead character. It was a huge opportunity, and for me it was a no-brainer. I wanted to be a part of the project immediately as I could. You
auditioned for the male lead character?
For the male lead character.
Eco. Now I had the same response. I mean, when I first read the script, it was complicated, but I don't know, beautiful in a way where I was learning and entertained at the same time, which is what I think I see, or it's what I know. I see on screen when I'm watching it. I'm like, I'm entertained, but I'm also, I mean, from the names to the languages to even in 1978, the set design, everything. Or I was, you know, you'd be like, oh, they had that back then, or something like that. Like we had in my car, my Buick, we had power windows. And it was like, oh, they had power. Oh, okay. And air conditioning, you know what I mean? And so that was kind of cool just to explore organically that way.
Even though the action takes place, like the timeline is a week long, we didn't shoot it chronologically. So we shot on location. So when we were on location, we had to shoot our scenes from Eps 2, Ep 5, and Ep 6. So we kind of always jumped back and forth with the timeline. So we, that's why, I mean, it was really helpful to be able to rehearse with Parker, and we had Chris on set and Ioanina, and we were always going back and forth to which moment of the story we're now in. This happened, this had already happened, but we haven't filmed it yet. So we needed to know what we wanted, where we wanted to take our characters all the way through shooting.
And filming only took 11 days, so it wasn't that hard.
Sure.
When you read the script and you prepare the scene and whatever, you have already an image in your head, like a mise en scene. And every time I stepped on set or met a fellow actor that I was supposed to work with on that day, it was just everything was becoming clear in my mind all of a sudden, you know, because now I know where to set the scene. Now I know how the room looks like, and I know I have finally put on a face on the character that I only saw on screen. So for my point of view, if I had any questions, once I stepped on set, all the questions were answered, and that felt really good. And even though I didn't know the answer to a question, I was confident that I will get the answer once I start working, because I trusted Parker a lot. We rehearsed a lot, and I knew that if we ever stumble or, I don't know, have a hiccup, we will eventually solve it with the help of Parker or Chris or Ioanina. And from this point of view, it was a very close relation, a trust relation, really good to build.
Two things. One, when he said fellow actor, that is how he addresses everybody on set. He goes, "Hey, hello, fellow actor." And they go, and then no, what he says about,
but I'm Romanian and can get away with a lot of stuff. You would be surprised.
But then when he says about relying on each other, you know, I felt very much alone. I relied on myself and myself only. In fact, I had several mirrors installed all around set. So when I really needed a pick-me-up, I just look to the right and I go, hey, we're going to do this.
Sometimes when they have to film him, I was stepping out of the set.
So I just look at myself and then
just put a mirror in front of
me. But hey, we got it done, you know.
It's one way to do it, you know. I'm not
it works, whatever. He's a method actor. What he has its own.
Marlon Brando had like cue cards. I had mirrors. There we go. I'm ready.
I was gonna say this is method acting. Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, I'm fascinated by spy movie spy books, and I always felt this is an interesting, fantastic, fascinating story from Romania's history, and I sort of carry it with me, and always wonder how it would be to write a story, to do, you know, either film or a TV show that depicts the last days of defection, because I felt that was where the bad things happen, and all the intensity that you're talking about comes from that time, from those days, you know, that somebody has to make a decision and that changes his life forever, and he'll leave behind his family. I was definitely intrigued by this thing. How could someone just, you know, walk away, having the power, the money, things that not even today people have, ordinary people have in Romania, within the proximity of power, right? So he had it all, and still one day walks into a plane, knocks at the door of the US Embassy and says, here I am, I want to defect, and leaves behind a family knowing the consequences, and the daughter that he loved. I was really intrigued by how and what happens in the mind and in the heart of someone who has to make the choice, who decides to make the choice in the way he did. So this was in a way, the beginning. And then I pitched the story to Kirsten in 2020 at the Berlinale. She loved it. We were chatting in her kitchen, and she loved it. Yes, and she loved it, and I said, let's do this together, knowing definitely that, you know, a part of the action happens in Germany, and that was so yeah. So we teamed up, and we won a competition that was done in Romania by HBO and an NGO owned by Mugiu, the Cristian Mugiu, the director, and we won that competition with the project for the TV series, and then that was it.
And so that's how the collaboration with HBO came to life as well.
Yes.
Yeah, through the competition, exactly. Yeah. And
Well,
because we had the outline for 6 episodes and a pilot by the end of the competition, and then we won, and then I more or less the next day we started them with HBO. Yeah. Adina came to me in Berlin during the Berlinale in 2020 to pitch the idea, and then we worked so hard, and there were all and the Berlinale was more closed for 2 years, and this year was the first year was really with, you know, with an audience again, in the first year that it had series, and then this series made it there, and it I mean, you can't even you know, you can't come up with that stuff, you know. It's just it's very surreal, and it was so beautiful, magical, that circle sort of closed its way so beautiful. And then a spy show in Berlin, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he is the tricky thing here is an element of history that is very little known, actually, that the fact that at the time being or selling secrets to the KGB in Romania was really, really bad, because it was a time when Ceausescu was trying to sort of not leave the boat of Russia, but make his own enclave inside the boat, make his own little space, and be his own master of the game. So that was a thing, and in his paranoia, in reality and in the show, his paranoia that the KGB will overthrow him, will just do something, a coup d'etat, anything that will leave him without power. He was really, really paranoid about this. So spying for the KGB, it was a bad thing. So as you have seen, then this is something that Victor plays, or not, rather, with the Americans, right? And so we took this thing from reality and played the way you saw it in the show.
I mean, paranoia and fear was definitely something we wanted to transport. The way it felt in a system like in Romania, what people were forced to do to survive, right? The consequences of that and living there. I think we wanted to get sort of the temperature right of 1978, I think. Yeah.